Anchors aweigh, me boys, anchors aweigh. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, flying high up in the sky. You're in the army now, you're not behind the plow. You're digging a ditch, you son of a witch, you're in the army now. Hey Ross, could you hand me a towel, please? Oh well. Haven't made a movie in a couple of months. It's been a wild time. The first wild thing was I got a new knee, and that was kind of an experience. Heard all the tales that people said, oh, how horrible it was, that it was just totally horrible, and you know, so painful. I couldn't hardly stand it. Well, I don't know. I went into it with the idea that, yeah, it's going to hurt, but nobody ever died from pain. So the first night after the surgery, when they got me out of recovery and moved me into the hospital room, which was supposed to be an overnight stay, simply because we lived far enough away that if there was any complications, it was an hour and a half to get there. So, well, that night they were getting me doing something, I forget what it was, but the nurse says, okay, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to go for a walk. And I walked about 200 and some feet. They had it marked down the hallway, and so you know, we walked down and walked back, and I said, oh wow, this is neat. This is the first time I've walked like a human in quite a while. Of course, I was still under the influence of drugs and had a special drug bottle that was putting painkillers in right next to the nerve in the leg. So no problem. Went to bed that night. Next day I expected to get out. Well, they're going to keep me one more day. This was Thanksgiving weekend. So the deal was that I was going to go to extended care, and the extended care place that my wife wanted me to be in. The social worker kept saying, oh yeah, I can't get a hold of them. It's Thanksgiving, you know, it's Thanksgiving. And well, next thing you know, it was the 6th day. I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom without somebody, you know, walking with me, and you know, on my walker, and I kept telling them I wanted to walk, and they, well, we'll get to you, we'll get to you. Well, they never seemed to get around to you. They were well, they had more people and less staff than they should have. So on the 6th day, they had me sitting in my chair, and you know, so that wasn't too bad. I got them to come in and take me to the bathroom a couple of times, and so that night, about 10 o'clock or so, I pushed the button and I said, I need to go to the bathroom. We'll get there. 5 minutes later, I pushed the button and I says, I gotta go to the bathroom, and we'll get to you. About 5 minutes after that, I pushed the button and I said, I'm getting up and going to the bathroom, so this chair alarm you got is going to go off. And so I got up, my walker was across the room, and I made it over to there, and you know, the voice come over that pendant thing, and is there anybody in the room with you? And I said, no, and I'm almost to the toilet. Well, it was amazing how they could find so many people, you know, when that chair alarm went off. Had sat in that chair for 14 hours, and I come unglued. I mean, I really did. I just told them right off that I was being treated horribly. You know, I've been in here 6 days, and I was only supposed to be in here 1 day, possibly 2. And so they, they all started agreeing and everything, and so they got me back, you know, in bed, and you know, I calmed down a little bit. So I would sleep. Next morning, I woke up early and got my breakfast, and you know, had Thanksgiving dinner in the hospital, which was kind of a, you know, sliced turkey and sliced pressed turkey and some sort of dressing and excuse me, and a piece of pumpkin pie. So I guess that was the special meal. But anyway, on day 7, here come the social services guy. He says, well, he said, I can't get a hold of that place that you want to go. He said, they don't answer their phone. And he said, but I'll keep trying. So he went out of the room, so I grabbed my tablet and looked it up on the internet, and got their telephone number, and I called them, got an answer right away, and you know, explained to the lady that I was trying to get transferred there to for extended you know, physical therapy, and so she said, well, I'll transfer you to the nurse who should know. So she transferred me, and that nurse says, well, we don't have any beds open, period. She says, I don't have we don't have a bed open in this facility. I said, well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, you know, when the physical therapy guy come back in, and he said, well, I can't get a hold. I said, hey, don't worry about it. I called them. They answered the phone, transferred me to the person that seemed to know, and said that they don't have a bed open. And like that. So I said, I'm going home. That's all there is to it. I'm going home. My wife gets here, I'm going home. Get my paperwork started, and all. Well, you know, you never heard so many in your life. And I said, I'm going home. You can't seem to do it. You know. So I said, you know, I'm gonna arrange something. So I called the Lawrence County Health Department and got the wonderful lady there, and they said, well, we're just waiting on them to tell us that you're out of the hospital. I said, what? And then she says, yeah. I said, you know, we'd been called when you know, the day you had surgery. And I said, well, that's a heck of a note. I've been in here 7 days. And so I came home, got home, and you know, made it in the house, and we have a handicap ramp, and I made it in the house okay. And I'd only been walked 4 times in 7 days, which was just totally unacceptable. Excuse me. But anyway, the next day, the physical therapist came out here, and they said, okay, here's what we're going to do, and we're going to assign you a therapist that will come out, and you know, 3 days a week, and work with you. And I said, great. And I said, you know, you'll show my my in-house physical therapist, you know, she who must be obeyed, the supreme household commander, the physical therapist that will have no mercy upon me when it comes to the you know, to the exercises. So next day this wonderful lady came out and we went through the exercises, and some of them were hard, you know, not painful, maybe to a light degree, but like I said, pain never killed anybody, so you know, you expect pain. It's just like, you know, pinching yourself. You can pinch yourself really hard and you know, oh, okay, if somebody else pinched you half as hard, you'd scream because you didn't expect it. So we went through the physical therapy, and she had the paper that showed the exercises, and my darling bride Estella watched it and you know, followed along on the paper, and so I was supposed to do these exercises twice a day. So that after evening, well, she who must be obeyed said, we're going to do exercises. And I said, okay. So we did the exercises and things like trying to lift your leg off of the bed, which I'd never been able to do more than 2 or 3 inches due to a nerve that was damaged when they put a new hip in, and which makes it kind of laugh, because I have a factory made hip, I have a factory made knee, and I have an ankle that all on the same leg that's got a plate and some screws in it from a little motorcycle accident 50 years ago. So anyhow, so well, the x-rays, I found out in the hospital that one of the screws that was in that plate was fractured. So I think I ought to go dig up old Doc Lowenstein and see if he would do a warranty on it. But anyway, we started doing the exercises, and then did them the next day, and then the physical therapist came out, and we worked, and she'd add one more, and so you know, the second time that day, well, Stella would you know, make sure that I did all the ones that you know, and this went on for 4 weeks, and the physical therapy worked. Pretty soon I was able to pick that right leg up off the bed, you know, almost 45 degrees, and with no trouble, except they'd only wanted me to pick it up 3 or 4 inches and hold it for 5 seconds, and so they kept adding exercises, and we kept doing them, and could see the market increase, you know, in mobility. And so they by the 4th week of that, well, they had graduated me to a cane instead of a walker, to a cane, except that I'm supposed to use my walker when I go to bed, and so I'll have it to get it when I get up in the morning or get up in the middle of the night, and have to make a trip to the room with the china receptacle in it, and so anyway, still do that, just kind of for safety, because you know, it takes a few minutes to get all the gyroscopes, as I say, arranged so that I have mobility. But so anyway, we went through all that, and we graduated, and everything was all hunky-dory. Oh my goodness, we had a week of me walking with, well, actually more than a week, of me walking with a cane, and being mobile around the place, and I think we went to the store went to Walmart and went to Harbor Freight, and so well, maybe that's what the next cause was, but on January 3rd we had to go back to see the orthopedic surgeon, and he checked me over and everything and looked his handiwork on the scar, which looks great compared to what people claim that, oh, it's horrible, and so he said, well, I'll see you back in a year, and everything looks great. Okay, so we went to Costco, and then went to Sam's Club for the famous 2 slices of pizza and a drink for less than $5. So we did that, and then we came home. But on the way home, both of us got to feeling pretty bad, and I got to the point that I couldn't hardly talk. My throat just went horrible, and so we got home. When we got home, well, a little bit later that evening, we were both of us were just sick, and so my darling bride says, well, let's take a COVID test. So we have the at-home COVID test. So the swabbing in the nose and putting it in the vial and working it around in the vial, and then squeeze the vial and pull, get all the stuff out of the swab, and then snap the little lid over, and you put 3 drops into the little end of this little test thing, and and you wait. Well, if 1 stripe shows up, you're good, you're clear. But if 2 stripes show up, you got COVID. Boy, talk about your stomach going down into the basement. My stomach went down to about 15 feet underground because I had 2 stripes. So, I'm in my 80th year, and this crap is tough on us old birds. And so I told my wife, I said, well, you take a test too. So she did the swabbing, and we did the thing in the little vial and all that, and put the 3 drops in the test strip, and she threw two stripes too. So she had COVID. Well, we called the county nurse, and she says, well, you've been discharged when they did the last thing, and said, we don't do anything. If you get real bad, go to the emergency room. So okay, all right. So we suffered for a couple of days, and then one day I really got to feeling bad. I don't know. I was ready to go start building my coffin, and my darling bride says, I'm taking you to the emergency room. So they took me to she took me to the emergency room, and they checked and said, yeah, you are positive for COVID-19, but you're negative for RSV, and you're negative for flu. All right, great. He says, I've got 2 things I can do. He says, I can start you on Paxlovid, which is a package of pills. You have 5 packages, and you take 3 pills in the morning and 3 pills in the evening, and it's been proven to help get rid of the virus. And or we can put you in a hospital and give you remdesivir, but we'll have to do that 3 days with IVs. It's your choice. And I said, I want to go home. I want to be there. So Anyway, he's my wife's. I pointed out my wife was positive for COVID. He said, "Well, I'll give a prescription for her." And well, my prescriptions are handled by CVS, and so we got home. The pharmacies were closed. My wife's prescriptions are done by Walmart. So the next morning she she put her mask on and went to town and went to CVS and got my Paxlovid, and they said no cost. You don't have to pay anything. So okay, she went to Walmart and went out, parked out there in her pharmacy pickup spot, and called them on the cell phone, says she was here, and so anyway, they come out and said, "Here you are, and $800." She says, "What?" And they said, $800. She said, "Well, I just got my husband's at CVS and it didn't cost anything." He said, "Well, the ones we have are $800. She said, "I can't pay that. That's all there is to it." So she left. She come home. So I said, "Well, I'll take one packet, and you take another packet, and you start on the pills that I got." And I said, "I'll call the doctor and see if I can get our famous nurse over there that we call Bubbles, because she giggles all the time." We named her Bubbles years and years ago, but excuse me. Anyway, I called them and they said, "Okay, we'll send the prescription to CVS for your wife." Well, my wife went in to get at CVS, and she pulled up to 15th and State Street there, and there was a great big 4-axle all-field vacuum tank truck sitting in front of her, 5 or 6 feet in front of her, and like that. She says, she's sitting there, next thing she knows, here comes this truck at her. Oh boy, there was a truck trying to make a corner, and he decided he'd back up and give that guy room. Well, that little Fiat works pretty good to be a wheel chock for a great big oil field truck that the tires are probably near as tall as that Fiat is, and scrunched in the left front corner. And they got the police, and the guy says, "I admit it." He says, I didn't look in my right mirror." He said, "I saw it, when I felt it hit something." He said, "I saw the little green Fiat under the back of my truck." He said, "I just didn't look in the right mirror. It's all my fault." So, end of story. So she went to CVS, got her Paxlovid free of charge. We put one packet back in my 5, and so we took our Paxlovid series, and we tested after we finished it, and both of us tested clear, so we were happy. And so anyway, she took her Fiat to the body shop that we like, and they did an estimate, and talking about $7,000 worth of damage, which is close to the total amount for the that year Fiat. And but Terry, the owner, he says, "Well," he said, we'll see if we what we can do." And if they scream and holler, we'll see if we can't bring it down some. So anyway, Stella had to get a copy of the police report, which cost her $15. She kind of aggravated about that, but anyway, they took all the information, and our insurance agent in the body shop said, we've never heard of that insurance before. So we'll just have to see what they do, if it's a valid insurance. So 3 or 4 days went by, 3 days I guess it was, and telephone rang, and wireless caller, and I answered, and the lady introduced herself, and she was with the oil field company that owned the truck that backed into us, and she said, we're just going to pay that out of our own funds. So we don't want to do anything to our insurance, so we'll just pay it out of our own funds, and I've already called Vincennes, she said, and arranged for a rental car for you while yours is being repaired, and real nice deal, So anyway, that was kind of good, but both of us have got to feeling bad again. It's that add-on that people seem to get after you had COVID, that all of a sudden you get this tremendous congestion and coughing and everything. You feel like you're going to cough up what you ate 3 days ago, or your socks. So we've we've been feeling kind of lousy. Maybe we're coming out of the back end of it, but it's been an interesting 2 months, and so we're staying clear of going anywhere unless we have to. Stella masked up yesterday and went to Wally World and did some grocery shopping, and bought some stuff that the food bank didn't provide, and that's one thing. The food bank, we go to, or she goes to the food bank. Excuse me. Food bank at a little town south of us. In fact, we lived in that town. Both of us were on the fire department at that town for a few years. So anyway, they've got an organization that goes out and gets from, I don't know from what places they get. Seems like a lot of it's from Walmart, and so the stuff is going out of date. Next or last week, and but I understand that Walmart, when something goes out of date, they take it and stick it in their freezer. When maybe it's the day before it goes out of date, they stick it in their freezer and freeze it, and then they donate it to food banks. Well, I'm sure that the amount they get off their taxes is more than equal to what it cost them for that food, but we're thankful for getting it. It's really been a help. Every time we go to the store and see what a pound of hamburger costs, or a pound of ground pork, or it makes you want to cry. If we had to purchase just the meat that person should eat some of each day, well, it just well, when you're living on Social Security, it just it's almost impossible to do. So anyhow, we get salmon. Oh my goodness, big salmon fillets, you know, and chunks of tuna and that have gone out of date. And they're still frozen, and so I've supposedly been allergic to salmon for years, and I finally told my wife, I said, I want to try some of that salmon. I said, I don't think I'm allergic to it. And oh, you know, I said, I'm going to try it. So she did some salmon, and I took the first bite of it, and oh, it tasted good. And I waited for it to start to react, and because the time that I reacted to salmon, it was almost instant. Nothing happened this time. And so I ate a big helping of salmon fillet, and so found out that I've either something was wrong when I was supposedly allergic to it, but you know, we like it, you know. So evidently a lot of people don't like the high price for a nice fillet of salmon. Brought back many memories of my youth when my grandmother would go out to see her oldest son in Seattle, Washington. They always went to the excuse me. They always went to the famous fish market, and she would buy a whole salmon, and they'd pack it in dry ice and ship it back to home in Bridgeport, and in that week, well, she'd have that salmon all baked, and oh my goodness, you know, it was a tremendous meal, you know, salmon that had been in the ocean, you know, a week before, and it was always a good meal. You know, I always liked the idea when she went out to see, you know, Uncle Walter, but they called him Jack. He'd retired from the Navy, retired as a commander in the Navy, and her youngest son was in the Navy Reserves, and he was a commander of his Naval Air Squadron at Alameda Naval Air Station, just across from San Francisco, and he did a flight. He flew to Seattle and to see his older brother, and then flew to Fallon Naval Air Station in Nevada. And you know, you always think about a Navy having bases on the ocean. This is out in Nevada, and supposedly he had a problem with his airplane with his fighter when he was taking off. Only thing of it is the records that we have from the Navy listing the aircraft model and all that. I can't find where that aircraft ever was missing. I can't find where there was an accident on the date of his death at Fallon Naval Air Station and like that. So myself and some Navy people that I've made contact with kind of think that maybe he the airplane that he was flying is the one that they still use today as one of the aggressor force for Top Gun, and so you know, he loved to fly. Never had a problem one about you know, flying. Decorated from 2 tours off of carriers in the Korean War. You know, so anyway, you know, one of those stories that there's got to be a backstory to it, because none of the facts seem to line up. And you know, he was supposedly trying some maneuver on takeoff, and nobody can figure out what that maneuver is, because it was strictly an acronym. So anyhow, but you know, we do it with him. My dad viewed the body, the crispy critter, and the gentleman that came back with him was his executive officer that he had under him. And so anyway, that guy and my dad, they talked about you know, evidently what the true story was. But my dad had been a first sergeant in the U.S. Army, you know, he knew how to play his cards close to his vest. So if he wasn't supposed to talk about something, he didn't talk about it, you know. You know, like my old friend Jack and I went to the National Security Agency as guests, VIP guests, at the installation of a Navy airplane into the National Vigilance Park, which is no longer there. They moved all the aircraft out, and it was on display, and they're stored somewhere, and they built a building there. But anyway, Jack and I, we spent 5 days, and Jack was dying of cancer. He knew it. He had lung cancer and eye cancer. So he started telling me a lot of stories about his flying in the airplane that the 1BU number away from the one that they put in the National Vigilance Park. And he talked about his buddies, and he talked about flying up and down the coast of China, and down the coast over Russia, and he hated the North Koreans. He hated them. He hated them with a passion. He talked about they got a coded message came over their radio, and which told them that the North Koreans had launched some fighters to chase them out of the North Korean airspace. And Jack said that they headed for international waters, and they had that EA-3B Sky Warrior. And he said, they always say balls to the wall. That's when all the throttles, the balls on the end of the throttles are up against the panel. And he said, Major Lowe and Marine Major and a Navy captain up front, and Jack was first sergeant. He told them where to go and when to go and why to go, because it was an Army intelligence setup, and so Jack said they put all the information into weighted leather bags and dumped them through the escape hatch in the bottom of the airplane, and then they started pulling out the oscilloscopes and everything else. They were lightening that plane down as light as they could get it. And he said this one North Korean pilot, he evidently either had extra tanks or he had a death wish. And he said we finally got out far enough that he wasn't going to catch us. And he said when we got back to Shimei Island, they had to put both engines on, had to replace both jet engines on that plane, because they had been run well over military power. In other words, probably 115, 120%. They had run them even past that, and so But so anyway, get back to, I rambled off again. So get back to the thing here. We're both suffering from this follow-on, whatever it is, respiratory problem, and we're just kind of suffering through it. So we've had 2 months of being kind of medically stuck to home or stuck in a hospital or whatever. If I want to get the other knee done right away, but my darling bride, she who must be obeyed, the Supreme Household Commander, said no, and said next fall. So the surgeon's scheduled us for next fall to see him. So maybe we'll get the other knee done. This one's been worn out for years, and anyhow. But that's been the last couple of months, and this is the only time that I've felt like sitting down and doing a video. I'm sitting here in the shower, which is nice and white, and the brightest spot in the house for recording. So, oh well. I guess maybe I can. I'll show you. Maybe you can see it. My just darting around shirt. This shirt I wanted to get because the car that is up here on the front is exactly like the first car that my wife and I bought new. A 1965 Dodge Dart GT with the Super Commando V8. Little car was rated, I don't know, whatever it was, but supposedly the actual horsepower was over 300 horsepower for 273 cubic inches. It idled about 800 or 900 RPM, and the radio antenna went back and forth, wow, 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 wow. So anyway, wish I had that car back. 4-speed transmission, and most cars back then, the brakes were, well, let's put it this way, the brakes were speed retarders. They weren't brakes because being it was designed to be for a quarter mile running, which we did with it. We put it down to quarter mile quite a few times, and so back in the days, then baby shoes came along. So then we graduated to another hot rod, and then we went back to family cars. So, all right. Hope y'all didn't get lost in my rambling. Take y'all care. Don't take any wooden nickels.